Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our monthly memorial service. Please join us in prayer. I'm sorry. Ikigami Konko Daijin. Oh, sorry. Ikigami Konko Daijin. I'm getting mixed up. I'm sorry. So today is our Ikigami Konko Daijin monthly service. Yes, as well. Mediation prayer, page 2. Let us seek the secret mediation of Ikigami Konko Daijin sincerely and wholeheartedly each and every day. May we seek mediation anew with all our hearts and souls on this day, the very moment. Ikigami Konko Daijin sama, Ikigami Konko Daijin sama, Ikigami Konko Daijin sama, Ikigami Konko Daijin sama. Purification prayer. Through the way of mediation, may our sincere apologies be acceptable to you, our divine parent. We acknowledge our mistakes and misunderstandings, arrogance and ignorance of your divine favor. We apologize for all our shortcomings and reverence from past generations. Guide us in our way of living, to reflect your divine will, with a pure, joyful, and loving heart, always one with you. Kami prayer. Reverently we pray. The riches of heaven, the richness of earth, time knows without cease, the earth path without end. In heaven and earth is a life that nurtures all. In heaven and earth is the truth that borders all. For this wondrous work, for these wondrous works, let us praise Tenchi Kami no Kami. Let us praise the divine parent of the universe. Kami loves and cares for all humanity, all those who live between heaven and earth. To revere Kami our divine parent, to live in Kami's infinite blessings, this is the way. Yet many not knowing the way are lost in the deep selfishness. They suffer aside those misfortunes, great is Kami's sorrow. Our Monkey Father, Konko Daijin, suffered many trials in this world. They held fast to faith and misery. He received Kami's great blessing and began the life of mutual fulfillment of Kami and humanity. Humbly we pray. The divine parent wish was fulfilled. Konko Daijin accepted the call to mediation, that leads to the mutual benefit of Kami and humanity. By they taught the way of faith to all expounding the blessings of heaven and earth, and knew not the coming of night. By night he prayed for those who grieve, seeking salvation for all who suffered, and knew not the dawning of day. Though years passed and the world changed, he did not waver from his task, the divine task of mediation. Thus was given the sacred Tenchi Kakitsuke, the guiding principle of our daily life. The divine faith was thus renewed, and the blessings flowed universally, establishing the way of eternal prosperity, the way of mediation of Ikigami Konko Daijin. By this wondrous revelation, we are given knowledge of the way. Through all hardships of this world, to live our body and soul. The way of mediation teaches us to turn our hearts to Kami. Without God for the day or night, without near or far, the way of mediation teaches us to pray with total trust. We are living unaware of divine favor. We offer our sincere apologies and pledge to mend our ways. Let us live our faith every day, seeking and rejoicing in your divine favor. Let us care for those in pain and guide them to the way. Let us guide those who are lost and awaken them to a life of purpose. Kami is fulfilled in us. We are fulfilled in Kami. May this way of mutual fulfillment be manifested in this world. May Kami's wish for true peace and well-being of all people be fulfilled. So we pray, so we earnestly pray.
The precise prayer for the monthly service, Ikigami Konko Daijin. Ikigami Konko Daijin, Tenchi Kai no Kami-sama, a divine pure universe, Omiya Konko Mushi Wahiawa, Yasuji. Reverence the foreign prayer. We are gathered here today for the monthly service, the family Ikigami Konko Daijin, on this day, July 12th. Through the observance of the service, we seek to extend our deep gratitude and appreciation for the divine work, contributions, and eternal presence of Konko Daijin, who has presented the world through the eternal Tenchi Kai no Kami, a divine universe. We solemnly acknowledge the divine Tenchi Kai no Kami, revealed to humanity 1873. Tenchi Kai no Kami state. Although people lived in heaven and earth, they now are Kami's blessings, shrines, temples, and houses, all stand on Kami's plan. Without knowing this, people constantly directions and disrespect to Kami, is self-harship due to the offenses. Tenchi Kai no Kami as an Ikigami Konko Daijin to provide blessings and teachings so that mankind may prosper. Kami is Kami because of man, and man is man because of Kami. Both are fulfilled through this mutual relationship. Through that fund Ikigami Konko Daijin, we have become enlightened to the infinite blessed Tenchi Kai no Kami, a divine pure universe, and have enjoyed blessings in all aspects of life. We extend our deep appreciation for the work of Daijin mediation for the salvation of humanity. This divine function has been kept by the generational spiritual head of Konko organization in the last 61 years. This year marks the 6th-year anniversary of the founding of Konko Daijin. It also marks 137 years since his departure. We extend our prayers and appreciation for the professional services of the divine mediator by the 5th head Konko. We pray for his good health and continued engagement in peace services at the principal divine will. We also extend our thanks to the ministers who have dedicated their life and spread the Konko office as many places throughout the world. The founding minister of our church, the late Reverend Harikota Palash, was initiated in the Konko faith and able to become Konko minister through the terrific mediation of the Reverends Masayuki and Ikigami Kodama, the Konko Bishop of Hong Kong, and dedicated in a missionary work in Wahiawa for 32 years since 1940. We extend our deep appreciation and heartfelt gratitude for enabling us to appreciate the operation of this church in the last 80 years. It is through the divine guidance and arrangements, as well as the support to help all the people who have ever established connectedness to this church, and help all the Mitama State, the Konko Mission Wahiawa has come thus far. We sincerely ask our divine parent Ikigami Konko and the Mitama State to continue to help and guide us in pursuit of the faith and further expansion of the Konko faith in Hawaii. We have been trying to be mindful of any elements of blessing of our divine parent Daijin and try to extend our acknowledgement and appreciation of blessings which we take for granted, whether it is the water we use, the food we enjoy, the air we breathe, the land we live on, natural resources we utilize, the job we have, the family we appreciate, and all of our normal body function and abilities. All elements of life are possible through the grace and love of our divine Daijin Through our practice of faith, we have been blessed in a personal and social life. We strive to actualize the teachings of divine parent Daijin in a faith life. Please accept our prayers here today, the many offerings, services, in any forms, and prayer placed before you, as tokens of appreciation and deep felt gratitude for blessing received. Thus, remind ourselves that Ikigami Konko is there to help us, aid us, and guide us to be able to overcome any encounter in life. The founder always extended his prayer: when the people of the world pray to Ikigami Konko with a sincere and single heart, please fulfill whatever request they have. Please forgive our negligence and ignorance. Without suchness of blessing, we may fail to recognize our wish and realize the offenses we might have committed knowingly and unknowingly. Please help us to reform our hearts to unite with the heart of our divine Daijin We earnestly pray that world peace and harmony would prevail through the actualization of the divine message that states, no one is aware of the blessings of heaven and earth, which enable people to live. Come shall our people become aware of the blessings of heaven and earth. They have a Konko that we born throughout the world, for the sunshine in every country without exception. We continue to extend our prayers for places throughout the world that are experiencing hardship due to natural disasters, crime, poverty, famine, governance, pollution, and other elements. We also pray that the coronavirus pandemic will stabilize and will be able to regain our normal lives we have taken for granted all those years. The divine Daijin please allow us to be service to you in helping others. As the utmost extreme thanks for blessings will be able to enjoy. Finally, we pray that the blessing of this service is shared to all present, as well to those that are here with us today.
change their places.
Ikigami Konko Daijin Kinchi Kami no Kami Shinji Nai Wahiawa Kokoni Ani Kongetsu Konshi de Akame.
Pray sincerely with all your heart. Be one with Kami. Kami's blessings begin within. Hearts grateful and caring, in harmony and joy. Look to Kami always, now and forever. On this very day, pray. Ikigami Konko Daijin Kinchi Kami no Kami Shinji Nai Wahiawa Kokoni Ani Kongetsu Konshi de Akame. Pray sincerely with all your heart. Be one with Kami. Kami's blessings begin within. Hearts grateful and caring, in harmony and joy. Look to Kami always, now and forever. On this very day, pray.
Adoration prayer. We lift our eyes in awe toward heaven soaring above.
We lift our eyes in awe toward heaven soaring above. We bow our heads in prayer toward our and deep. Leaning on such gifts of Kami's gift giving, how happy and grateful we are. The nation of Ikigami Konko Daijin does not stop for a single day. The protection of the divine parent, the graces of far and wide, the blessings of Kami flow without limit through all the generations. The ways of Kami are mysterious and wondrous beyond our understanding. Day by day, every day, earnestly and reverently, we pray the virtues of Kami, we honor the power of Kami.
Shinpaku Sansi, page 29.
Shintoku-san. 仰ぎ祭れば天高く仰ぎ祭れば天高くお拝み祭れば地は寿司神の恵みに生かさる海の幸いとありがたき我が生き神の恩取り次ぎと日もかくる時のなく天地の神の御守りとき近きの隔てなし神慈しみはよろずよにあまねく満ちて果てしなく神計いはくすしくて人の思いと及ばざる我ら今月今日やび祭りてひたすらに神の御影をたたえますらん神の比例を仰ぎますらん
Prayer, page 4. Spirits of those who have gone before us,
You have given the gift of life in this house and in this universe. If you shall not your duties faithfully, each according to your assignment of years, you will be remembered eternally. Your life will come from generation to generation, honor the foundation of our society and the roots of our families. Through the mysterious workings of Kami, you enter the Konko faith. You walk the way of Konko Daijin, respecting the will of the divine parent, of our homes, the O divine Spirit, may the teachers stand by us each and every one. Receive the favor of coming, and help us fulfill our tasks, like people without failing. Protect us, guide us, enrich us, that we may never lose the way of faith, that we may have all generations, that we may live in peace and prosperity within our homes. Protect us, guide us, enrich us.
Yohei.上神殿この平気境に声拝差し止めるからその分に長期してくれ。外影をいたし農業へで人が願いで呼びに来戻り、願いが済みまた農へでまたも呼びに来農業する間もなし。来た人も町両方の差し支えにあいなら、なんと影をやめてくれぬか。その方42歳の年には病気で医師も手を離し、心配いたし神仏に願いおかげで元気いたし、その時死んだと思うて欲を離して天地神の神を助けてくれ。家内もご気になったと思うてくれ。ご気よりもしもの言われ相談もなり、子供を連れてぼとぼと農業をしよってくれ。この方のように実に丁寧神信心いたしおじこが世間に何本も難儀なおじこあり、そいつに助けてやってくれ。神も助かりおじこも立ち行く。おじこあっての神、神あってのおじこ、繁盛いたし、すえぜ親にかかり、子にかかり、愛をかけようで立ち行く。Divine Message received on November 15, 1859, page 7. With the completion of this staff, our end your farming career, please understand, when you are out farming, the person at home has to go out and call you whenever someone comes to give you a request. And after you relay the request, you have to go back out again. You have to keep going in and out of the field. This gives you little time for farming, and the worshiper must also wait for you. Both you and the worshiper are being inconvenienced. Why stop farming? When you were gravely ill at 42, the doctors gave up hope. Everyone worried about you. You prayed to the kamis and Buddhas and were blessed with complete recovery. You invited to them at your death. Dispel all desires and assist in Ikigami no Kami. Also, your wife should consider herself a widow. This is better than being a real widow. She can still talk to you and discuss matters. She should take the children with her to do the farm. There are many people like yourself who have sincere faith in kamis, but still have many problems. Help these people performing mediation. This will help kami and save people. People exist because of kami, and kami exists because of people. And thus kami supports people as kami's children, and people support kami as their parent. There will be eternal prosperity through Ayo Kakeyo, mutual interdependence. Good morning, everyone. We're glad to be here today. And I must apologize because I totally thought today was a monthly memorial service. So I prepared a monthly memorial service sermon here, and then I'm completely gonna have to not use this today. Scriptless. Scriptless sermon. So it's gonna be really short. Yay! Cheer. So anyways, this morning, my husband Clayton, he was like, Edna, you were groaning last night in your dreams. And I was like, what? And he was like, he said, I was doing that. I was like, that sounds like The Grudge. That's kind of creepy. And he's like, I was deciding if I should run or if I should stay. And I was like wondering, I don't know what I saw last night. And then when I was up here, I remember the dream I had. Once I looked at this blue carpet. So my dream I had last night was, we're doing a monthly cleanup of the church, and for some reason, I don't know why, my dad, he pulled back this carpet that we newly installed. My parents were like pulling it up, you know how it's like nicely nailed in, you know, with the spikes and stuff? Yeah, pulling it up, pulling it all up, and I was like, what are you doing with those items? And it's like, oh, I have to wipe underneath on the wood part. I was like, you don't have to do anything. And I was like, I think I was scolding my parents for like uplifting the carpet of the church when it was so nice and new. So I don't know what that dream was about. It's weird, but I believe that's the dream I had. So anyway, just a random story I wanted to share with you. Yesterday I got a text from one of my friends, and she texted me a photo of her friend who got hurt by, I guess he was trying to make those leads for fishing, and so he was melting lead, and then some of it got on his leg, his foot, so he got burned really bad, and it wasn't a humongous burn, but it was like maybe like this big, on the right over here part of your foot, and she was telling me, shouldn't my friend go to the hospital or like the doctor? And I was like, because it didn't look infected. I could see it's inflamed, but it's not infected. So I could see it's healing because it was turning yellow, and that means like all the body has this defense, this army, and it's killing the germs, and it's healing, and you can see a nice slough cap. And from there, a nice scab will form, and you're on your way to healing. So she said, my friend is very stubborn, and he will not listen to me. So I told him that my nurse friend, me, said, you better go to the doctors, which I didn't say anything weird. So she said, I lied to my friend, saying that my friend told me to go to the doctor. But what do you think, Edna? And then I said, well, he doesn't want to go to the hospital, right? He said, no, he is just refusing to go to the hospital. And I said, well, you can't force people to go to the hospital. And sometimes you just gotta trust the body, because the body is an amazing system that has the ability, this amazing ability to heal the body and stuff like that. And I could confidently say that, not just because I'm a nurse, but it's because that's how we lived our life. When we were small, we number one, we didn't have insurance. So when we got hurt, my mom didn't rush us to the hospital or doctor. She's like, it's okay. Omiki, go shimai, you'll be okay. And go get it. That's how we lived. We didn't have money. And another thing, she was a nurse when she was in Japan before coming to Hawaii. So she had some medical knowledge, and she knew what was considered an emergency and what was considered, meh, you're okay, it's gonna heal. So when I looked at the wound yesterday, I was like, meh, it's on its way to heal. But I told her, don't listen to me just because I'm writing this down. I mean, listen to your heart. Tell your friend that, to listen to his heart and not to trust Edna, but trust his heart. And your heart is usually the honest, gives the honest answers. So she's like, yeah, I don't think my friend will go to the doctor's office or anything. But I told her, does he have diabetes? How old is he? Because if you have diabetes, your wound is going to have a harder time healing because the circulation's bad, and for some reason, diabetics, they'll start to really get bad and infected. So luckily for Okage-sama, he didn't have any diabetes. He was in 69 years old or something. So it's just my parents' age, the same age as my parents. So with my parents, they're pretty healthy, and even if they get hurt, they don't go to the doctor's office. And I told her, if it was my mom, she would just slap on some goshimai and put omiki, drench it with omiki, and just wrap it up with gauze and let the body do its healing. And then she'll say, okay, I'll tell my friend that. So anyways, we've been blessed with Kami-sama's okage throughout our entire lives, and we relied on Kami-sama. And that's all we ever had to rely on, because we couldn't rely on anybody else. We didn't have any family in Hawaii, and we couldn't ask them for help. And we didn't want to ask the members for help. That would be kind of weird. So we just asked Kami-sama for help, and Kami-sama has blessed us to this very day. All three of us, I have two other older brothers, David and Rodney, and the three of us all have had a head injury, I have a little scar over here, and that's when I was a year and a half year old, and we went to Japan as a family, and I guess when we were visiting one of the churches, some boy pushed me in the back, and then I hit my head on the stairs of Kawanoshi Church. Okay, so I guess I fell down twice, I think. So once I fell down and hit my head, and it opened up, and it got stitches. Then on that same trip, we went to another church, and somebody pushed me from the back, and then it hit the same exact spot when I was trying to heal, and it opened up again. But anyway, that's why this scar, it remains here. So. And Rodney, I think he fell off the skateboard or rollerblade, one of them. And he didn't realize that he was bleeding. And he felt there's some kind of warm, like warm rain falling on him. And then his friend was like, "Bruh, you're bleeding, Rodney." And Rodney was like, "What? I am?" And he was like, "Ah!" And then he was like, "Oh God!" Just screaming. When you see it for yourself, all this blood on your face. That's, I think, when my dad was in Japan, and my mom was just alone here. So my mom was kind of panicking that time. She was like, "Oh, wow, dang, what's going on?" So, we didn't have insurance, and, my mom was kind of like, "Oh, doctor or no doctor?" But, nah, let's just omiki and omiki goshimai. So he was still in elementary, and my mom slapped on his big goshima on his forehead like this, and with omiki, and he went to school like that, and I guess people were saying, what is that on your head? And the scab was forming right below the goshima, and my mom didn't peel it off, she just kept it there. And then as the wound got smaller, she just cut around the edges of the goshima paper, and so it would just fall off. And yeah, his hair also covered it, so it kind of hid the Goshimai. Anyways, so Rodney's wound miraculously healed without a scar. Yeah? I was like, Rodney, you're lucky you don't have a scar. And David, he also fell down. When was that again? Oh, at the Japanese school. At the Japanese school, he fell down and he had stitches. I think over here. It's over here. So he had stitches. So me and David had stitches. And we ended up with a scar that remained for a lifetime. Rodney, my mom didn't rely on stitches, just relied on kami-sama totally and with Komiki and Goshimai. And he had no scar. Same thing happened to our friend Shannon. One time we were playing in the yard and he had a golf ball. And then he just like threw it to the ground. And while he was doing it, I guess his face was on the ground too, like facing towards the ground, so it ricocheted. It just it bounced back at him, the golf ball, and hit him right. I don't know if it was the left or right side, but hit him right over here. Boom! It just opened up. His eyelid part opened up, and you could see the fat coming out. And then the mom was panicking, and she's like, "Oh, Mrs. Yano, what should I do? Should I send him to the hospital, get stitches?" And my mom said, "You can do that, or you can trust what we do." Lapano Goshimai and Omiki. So she was like, okay, let's do like you do. So he didn't go to the hospital. And mom told my mom, okay, he tried to come here and put on a Goshimai, the sacred rice paper, a small one, not a big one, I guess, a small piece. And she drenched it in sake, an omiki, not sake, no, omiki, and just slapped it on here. And she told her to keep it on, and don't peel it off. And I forgot if it fell off or something, but a nice scab formed, and really, it healed really nicely. And also when he also went to Afghanistan, or was it Iraq, one of them. He was deployed, he was in the military, he was deployed. And before he was deployed, he came here and we prayed that he would be safe. And Sensei also gave him a Goshimai and told him to keep it with him at all times. So he got stabbed once by an insurgent, and I think it was his arm. So once he got stabbed on his arm, so he remembered about the Goshimai. He healed over here, so he remembered that. So he got the Goshimai. He didn't have omiki at the time, but I guess he cut off a little piece of the Goshimai, put it on a place he got stabbed, and it healed really nicely without a scar. He got stabbed a second time by an insurgent, but this time it was his back. And I guess this time he didn't think about putting Goshimai on it, but I guess he could reach it or whatever, but he just didn't put it. And the back scar still remained. But thankfully he came back safely, alive, and in that way, the Yano family and people that have been associated with the Yano family have received okage, their Goshimai, and their kami-sama blessing. So, don't just listen to us just because it worked for us. You have to have it in your heart, your trust to kami-sama, and that's the most important. People take omiki and Goshimai thinking it's an alternative to medicine and saying, okay, this is gonna work because it worked for Yanos. And they might come back and blame us and say, it got infected and what you said was a lie. Or like, your omiki Goshimai doesn't work, it's just rice. Or it's just paper, the Goshimai paper, it's just paper. And with that kind of heart, you will not heal. I'm sorry, but to say so, it's not going to heal. You have to have absolute trust in kami-sama. And while taking your Goshimai and omiki, you have to have, your heart has to be in line with kami-sama. That you receive blessings until this very moment. And yes, I got hurt, I'm ill, I need your assistance, kami-sama. And with that kind of heart, kami-sama will assist you and you will surely receive divine blessings that was meant for you. So always keep that in mind when you take omiki and Goshimai. Don't take it with a negligent heart. Don't take it with a heart that feels lazy. Like, Goshima, I have to go to my purse, go get it. I feel lazy. Whatever. This is a last resort. I shall take some. If you have that kind of heart, sorry, it's not going to work. Always be grateful. Take it with a prayerful heart, and you will surely receive blessings. Thank you. And
Wahiawa. Good morning. So, thank you for joining today's service. When I listened to Anderson's speech, I remember the Goshimai I keep in this church. We have about 2 boxes full of Goshimai. They all in 43 years old, say Wahiawa. Maybe around this big box 2. So every week I use 5 or 6 packets of Goshimai, making Goshimai water, and I drink it every day. And I put some Goshimai into the pot and boil, and then I drink every morning. I'm doing this for so many years. And Goshimai is a symbolic presentation of divine blessing. Kami-sama blessed element, I should say. And when we get sick, sometimes we put on with Goshima over here, we soak in rice for a week. And when about how many years? About 10 or 20 years ago, when I was making curry rice for the function, I usually put the pot into the oven. It was handled, and I accidentally opened the door with a bare hand. I grabbed the hand, so I immediately immersed my hand into the water. The pot is so white, turned into white. It's so painful. So I immediately put on Goshimai and the Mickey paper and then soaked and lie down. And Rodney was over there, so Rodney took over the process of making curries. So this he learned how to make curry. So all day, just so pain, zucchini. So, but I didn't go to the doctor. And when the hand was dried up, I put another omiki, keep on this for overnight. In the following day, the pain all went out. In 1 week, all the wound was almost gone. So, this is this traditional Konko. I without any thinking, I just responded to this in this manner. Even when Rodney was young, he jumped out of the window from my bedroom. He hit his head with stairs. It was so scary. But even this occasion, we put Goshi in my body. And in blessedness, he became well. So, one thing I was scared when Rodney was in Amagi Church undergoing shugyo, he accidentally cut his left hand with circular saw, making fire for offering. But I learned this after he came back. The wound was so severe, almost cut off this way. But thanks to Kami-sama no Okage, recovered. I'm not sure he put Koshima that would be, but so Kami-sama no Okage, he could recover from those occasions. So I do not usually recommend like my sensei or put on Koshima, but on some occasion I recommend you to refer to Koshima people. They say omiki. And after every service we drink some segment of omiki after service. This is a reminder of Kami-sama's lesson in omiki. And another thing is when before I was sitting over there, I spent this over there, so I remember Konko was what? When you put it, say thank you, arigato, for the mask, always must be, but no one care about saying thank you. Konko was remind us, seva ni naru, arigato gozaimasu, even if it did not, arigato gozaimasu. So I just remember Konko's message. In April, May, at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, everybody looking for masks and toilet papers. They are in shortage. But you know they're so desperate. They might say, "Oh, arigato, thank you." But nowadays, saturated. They don't care about. But when you try to say thank you, like you say, "Itadakimasu." These are something I want to share with you. And I'd like to introduce one message of the founder Konko Daijin, the message given to Aoi Saki. People are too self-concerned when they are born. They are no concerned about lucky or unlucky days. They concern them only after birth and before death. They die without concern for lucky or unlucky days. Ikigami number 2, Aoi Saki 3-1. Initially, the founder Konko followed the rules of days and directions like anybody else in our given days. And he eventually followed the days and directions, but no matter how much he tried to follow the rules and directions, he found it was impossible to follow the days and directions, even while keeping compass every minute of the day. He encountered so-called 7 deaths in the family that was believed to be the source of the fear of deity or konji. Despite his encounter with difficult situations, he never gave up to believe in the work of the deity. Eventually, he found out the blessed nature of the deity, and corresponding to his acknowledgement of the wondrous nature of the deity himself revealed his true nature to Konko Daijin. For the founder, it is of no use to follow these directions, even for house building project and any other daily lives in those days. The founder found out there shall be no good and bad days and directions in the blessed nature of heaven and earth. That would be the sacred presence of Tenchi Kairokan, the body of Tenchi Kairokan. His belief practice his own belief corresponding to the blessed nature of Tenchi Kairokan, or divine universe. Please join me for that prayer for the coronavirus pandemic. To constant efforts of the authorities and the entire population in the world to cope with COVID-19, we see some signs of recovery from the pandemic. Thank you for the improved situation around the world. Through the righteous power of the founder, Konko Daijin, I sincerely and single-heartedly pray that the pandemic will calm down as soon as possible and will regain the normal lives we might have taken for granted for those years. Thank you very much. Ikigami Konko Daijin Tenchi Kairokan Shinji Nai Wahiawa心にあり今月今日でたまないIkigami Konko Daijin Tenchi Kairokan Shinji Nai Wahiawa心にあり今月今日でたまない5.5理解ナンバー2Page 263, number 4. 263, number 4.
When practicing faith in Kami-sama, you can receive divine blessings with your heart. Since I just performed Toritsugi, I cannot receive divine blessings and give them to you. So be grateful on this very day and practice faith well. With such a heart, you can receive divine blessings. Konko-sama told me.
Number 5, you needn't trouble yourself to come to worship. All households have altars revering Konjin-sama. Therefore,
in the morning and evening, put your hands together and give prayers to receive divine blessings on that day. You need not come from afar to worship, said Konko-sama. I mentioned, but I might be too busy to give prayers in the morning. He replied, even so, you should give prayers first, then start work.
Yuasa Jingoro. Number 1. When I was 27, I built a house. Thinking that I had to set up an altar in it for Konjin-sama, I went to see Konko-sama in Otani and asked for a charm. He gave me a tenchi kakitsuke and imparted, I'm glad to see you, but you needn't come from afar. Practice faith every morning with a righteous heart, even by just staring at a blank wall. Then there will be no impediments or problems. I too started out as a farmer. When I practiced faith, Kami-sama told me which rice seeds to plant. I later received the virtue of good harvests.
One. When my first son fell ill at age 3, I went to the Hiromai for the first time. I gave my request. Konko-sama said, "You need not worry, practice faith wholeheartedly, and he will surely be cured. Receive divine blessing."
An old woman of Sakura went to worship with a person from Daijin. On the way, the old woman said, "Going to worship is good, but if only the inn were a little cleaner." At the Hiromai, they got a revelation. You also revere Kami-sama at home. You need not come here if you think the inn is dirty. The old woman was filled with awe.
2. When a man from Okayama gave a request for his business, Konko-sama told him, "Your father is sick at home, yet without praying for his recovery, you leave him there. This isn't being filial." The man admitted, "Come to think of it, my elderly father is paralyzed. Do you think it's alright to just leave him?" asked Konko-sama. 2. Will he be cured? asked the man. Just because he's old doesn't mean he won't recover. The man practiced faith and his father recovered completely.
3. Since my daughter had an eye disease, my wife went everywhere to pray, but to no avail. When I went to Otani, Konko-sama said, you know that a boat can float even with stones or iron piled on it. People should ride on a boat of divine blessings. Thinking about how blessed this was, I practiced faith. My daughter then gradually gained full recovery.
4. I told Konko-sama, "This way of faith is really nice." He replied, "This way of faith is like an outhouse in the mountains. When people have to release their vows, they run to the outhouse. After relieving themselves, their happiness is beyond words. Here also the sick come and receive divine blessings and become happy."
Women who live near Konko-sama know that unlimited divine blessings could be received by practicing faith. Taking a large empty bag, she went to the Hiromai in early morning and said, "Konko-sama, what are you doing on this early morning?" She answered, "I come wanting to receive divine blessings, so I brought this bag. Now I am awake." Konko-sama laughing said, "A bag cannot hold divine blessings, as a house full of divine blessings. Go home and you will receive divine blessings." Okay.
おはようございます。Good morning, everyone. ただいまから歌を歌わせていただきます。We're going to sing a song. 新人の栄光、新人の道を。ラジオ用の親は、それから社員にしまりたい。よろしくお願いします。
With a heart caught up in doubt and worry, I face my life every morning, wanting to shine, but somehow holding back joy and fear, so within my heart. Still I know, even one as small as I can run into someday and find a shining, shimmering, brilliant light glowing from a path that never ends. Instead of losing hope or fearing what's ahead, let's keep on moving forward with our heads held high, for we are all living in a world that embraces you and me with its love, supported by the prayers of those who care for us. We're never alone in our lives. When we're down and ready to surrender, when times are hard and it seems so dark, just know in each day that I'm never on my own gives me strength and courage to try harder. Holding hands with my friends standing by my side, swinging arms together we will walk to the shining, shimmering, brilliant light glowing from a path that never ends. Instead of losing hope or fearing what's ahead, let's keep on moving forward with our heads held high, for we are all living in a world that embraces you and me with its love, supported by the prayers of those who care for us. We're never alone in our lives. Instead of losing hope or fearing what's ahead, let's keep on moving forward with our heads held high, for we are all living in a world that embraces you and me with its love, supported by the prayers of those who care for us. We're never alone in our lives.
Thank you very much.
Ikigami Konko Daijin Tenchi Wahiawa Shini Noe Wahiawa Konko Ni Kongesu Konishide Tome. Ikigami Konko Daijin Tenchi Wahiawa Shini Noe Wahiawa Konko Ni Kongesu Konishide Tome.
Thank you very much. That concludes our service. We hope you enjoyed and have a good week. Thank you.